But we begin at the tribunal where Brisbane's Eric Hipwood was forced to explain Thursday night's contact with an umpire. It's been a fascinating case and one we've all been following.
McCluggage, Berry to Coleman. Lovely kick and a big hit with the umpires behind the plate. As Cameron turns, delivers inside 50 and Hipwood takes it on his chest. That was solid contact.
I think he was trying to use him as a shield and maybe push his opponent to the other side of the umpire, but the fact is he's pushed his opponent into the umpire, so that's probably something that needs to be addressed.
So that's a push lead, guys, and for anyone that plays in the forward line, that's something you would do 50 times a game.
But there's a duty of care there. You have to know the umpire's there. He's in fluoro green.
It's just a coincidence that they were there at the same time.
That's an amazing coincidence that he decided to push when the umpire was right there.
There's 36 men on the field, plus another 7 umpires. Sometimes accidents happen.
Yeah, we've got to protect the umpires at all costs. I can't imagine any player deliberately doing that.
Well, it's been heavily debated over the past 5 days or so. Let's head to Drew Jones in the newsroom, who has been following this 2-hour tribunal hearing. Drew, what can you tell us?
Robbo and Kath, not all Tribunal Tuesdays are created equal. This was absolutely fascinating. And I guess the full gamut of potential situations and results was on the table because this is such a unique incident. We haven't seen it that often. And we had to get inside the mind of Eric Hipwood because he didn't just bump a player in the head or tackle them dangerously. It was contact via another player. So as it all boils down, this is a $2,500 fine for Eric Hipwood. So in the end, after deliberating for about 40 minutes, the tribunal panel decided that this was careless conduct, but on the lower end of careless. It wasn't intentional and it wasn't an accident. So the AFL started out the night by saying, if this is intentional, this is a 2-game ban. That's what they wanted. They said if it's careless, this is a 1-game ban. They weren't looking for anything else. They acknowledged, though, that a fixed financial sanction was also an option for the tribunal. Adrian Anderson was legal counsel for Brisbane, and he wanted this to be deemed as purely as an accident and there to be no punishment for Hipwood whatsoever. So, as I said, getting inside the mind of Hipwood was key tonight. So let's hear what he had to say when he was questioned by both sides. And if we roll the vision, hopefully I can talk you through what he was doing as we see it. So Hipwood trying to run through. He says, let's get inside 50 into a dangerous position. Ryan Gardner's there with him. Then Gardner initiates contact here, runs across him. This is an illegal act, as mentioned by Adrian Anderson, the Brisbane Legal Counsel. Hipwood says he braces for contact, looks at Gardner and then pushes him as a reflex action. Adrian Anderson asks him, were you conscious of where umpire Jacob Mollison was? Hipwood says, definitely not. I hadn't seen him. He then asked, did you ever have any intention of pushing pushing Gardner into the umpire? No, definitely not. I've played plenty of sport. I know that's not an acceptable action. Now, after 5 or so minutes of questioning, it goes to the AFL. Nick Payne, the legal counsel, he suggests that Hipwood must have seen the umpire. He explained, Hipwood, that as he's running back, he looks at Zach Bailey, who's running near him. There's a time where Zach Bailey and the umpire cross paths. The AFL say, you must have seen the umpire at some stage as you're running back, or at the very least, it's a duty of care to know where the umpire is. Hipwood says, I run this pattern 10 to 15 times per game, and the umpire is never in my path. Ultimately, the AFL say, Hipwood's actions in my submission are unacceptable when one considers the vulnerability of the umpire. Adrian Anderson says, seeing the umpire does not prove he had intent to push Gardner into the umpire. Around 40 minutes all up, the discussions between the tribunal panel, they decide it was careless and a $2,000 fine. Is free to face Essendon at the Gabba this weekend.
Thank you, Drew Jones. Good work there. Robbo, your initial reaction, because you were pushing for a suspension when we discussed this last night.
Pushing? I'm not to decide whether it should be a suspension or not. My personal opinion was he should sit for a week and say, hey, you can't do that. You were saying that he should get a fine because that's what the rules say. What's your gut feel, 24 hours looking at it, hearing people's opinions, seeing it again tonight? They found him guilty of carelessly pushing a player into an umpire. They found him guilty and they fined him. How can that... This is not careless contact with an umpire that we see at the centre square, Kath. It's not. This is careless contact of you pushing a person into an umpire. It's major different. Now, I know people disagree with me, but I am staggered. Again, what's your gut feel?
Well, you have to take him for his word, and tonight he said he did not see the umpire, so it was not intentional at all. It was an accident, and these rarely happen in our game.
But it didn't find it an accident. The tribunal found it guilty of careless behaviour. So it's not an accident. They haven't deemed it an accident. They've found him and fined him. So they've actually found him guilty of doing something that you're not allowed to do. And it's fallen under, oh, well, it's, you know, contact with an umpire. That's crap, and I know people disagree with me. And I'm not headhunting Eric Hipwood, I'm not. But in a year of looking after umpires, where the AFL at times has let umpires down and really supported umpires at other times, to have this happening off the ball, I'm a bit bewildered. I might be in the wrong, I might be wrong, but I'm bewildered.
I was more meaning accidental in that he didn't mean to do this, but when you're talking about the tribunal lingo, I understand you mean careless, but that is the rule at the moment, is careless contact with an umpire by pushing an opponent into an umpire or their direct path is a fine.
Is that what the rule says?
Yes.
Pushing a player into an umpire is a fine. Well, they couldn't find it deliberate. They can't. Because if it is, he should be sitting for 5 or 6 weeks. If we found out that Eric Hipwood deliberately pushed him into the umpire, he's gone. So I don't know why they were asking for 2 weeks. They should have been asking for 5 weeks.
Yeah, well, the key was, did he see the umpire or not?
And he said he didn't.
That's what everyone wanted to know. And he said he didn't. The only part where a few eyebrows were raised was that he did say he saw Zach Bailey. And if we bring up the vision here, you do question, well, how could you see Zach Bailey and perhaps not see the umpire? I think the vision is coming up for us.
But if you're playing, right, so
Zach Bailey's about to head
through the umpire
50,
now. He's right in front of him.
And he's saying he can see Zach, but he can't see the umpire. So that's where you do question.
They should have called you. They should have called you as a witness, as a body movement witness, a mechanism.
But we have to take Eric for his word, and I do that he didn't see him and it was an accident in his opinion. But yes, it's gone down as careless contact with an umpire. My question to you is, should they rewrite the rule now? Careless contact with an umpire results in a suspension.
No, I don't want to knee-jerk and say, oh, let's all rewrite the rules. This game, I'll say it again and I'll borrow KB's line again. This is a very unique game, and this game continually throws up stuff. You think, God, I haven't seen that before. How can this happen in this wonderful sport of Australian rules? I can't remember seeing that. So we can't, do we write it? Oh, but if you sort of carelessly push into an umpire, I don't know. I'm bewildered, but anyway, good luck to him. He's playing.
Yep.
He got away with it, took the mark, kicked the goal. Big part of the game.
In other news, Richmond have accepted the one-match ban handed to Nick Vlosten for striking West Coast, kind of west, on Sunday at the MCG. This was interesting because we had Damien Hardwick at the desk with us last night and we asked him about it and he said, look, we probably will challenge the ban, which surprised me at the time, but...
When we're watching it all together... And he's hit him in the upper regions, and he's going, yeah, we're going to challenge. But he said at the same time...
He did say, we'll have a closer look at exactly where the contact was. And obviously they slept on it, had a closer look at the contact and thought, yeah, we should probably cop that one. So
I nearly said to him last night, mate, he's elbowed him in the face. And you're saying, yeah, we shouldn't do that sort of stuff, but we're going to appeal. That was not a surprise.
So they'll be without Dustin Martin and Nick Vlosten for Saturday's date with Gold Coast at Metricon Stadium. As you said, the Suns are tough to beat.
Yeah, they are.